collection and transportation. This is the very, very important component which directly affects each and every citizen. Citizen wants that waste should be collected from his household at designated time, and it should not be visible in the public space. So if our collection and transportation system is so geared to ensure that it is collected properly and it is not accumulated in the public space, I think that would be the best collection and transportation system. But there are challenges. We are mandated to ensure that waste is segregated at source. So citizens' cooperation, the behavioral aspect which I mentioned in the beginning, is very, very important. So this requires continuous discussion with the community. This requires regular IEC programs. This requires curriculum in the schools to tell children that how reduction of waste is important, how segregation of waste is important, why littering should not be done. So all this is very important from the citizen's point of view. So once segregated waste is received, the system should be so geared to transport it in a segregated fashion. So this is very, very important component. Most of us just say that waste should be segregated and we stop at that. How is that segregated waste going to be transported over long distances, maybe 15-20 kilometers? What is the infrastructure availability for that? So that is very, very important. Have we got separate auto tippers for collection of wet waste and collection of dry waste? Have we designated specific days for collection of dry waste or other streams of waste? What is our secondary transportation mechanism? So all these things are very important. So we in Bangalore, we did lot of thinking on this. We did a new time and motion study to come out with normatives, new normative standards as to how many households should be covered by one auto tipper, how many Safai Karamcharis or Paur Karmikas as we call them should cover 500 meter of road length for sweeping, how many supervisors are required, how many secondary vehicles are required, what kind of secondary vehicles are required. So all this we did in a time and motion study. We categorized different waste generators. We categorized them into residential households again into different categories, slum households in separate category, medium income households in different categories, large size sites into different categories. So different categories we made. Then we also carried a time and motion study to see how much time it actually takes for a worker to collect from each household. And then what are the requirements to ensure that it is transported in a segregated fashion. So after doing all that groundwork, we came out with revised normative standards as to what is the requirement and what should be the route map, what should be the timing, where the vehicle should go. So these are the things which need to be designed in each city. Use of technology is very, very important in collection and transportation. Having GPS installed on the vehicles, having CCTV cameras at important locations will give us feedback as to whether the vehicle has gone to the location or not, whether collection has been done on a particular route or not. So this is something which is very important. So in our new tenders, in our new collection and transportation tenders, we have incorporated all these provisions. Increase the number of vehicles with new normatives, prescribed all these route maps, optimization, monitoring through the IT framework. And one important thing also we have added to it. We have built in an incentive system for the service provider. If the service provider is able to ensure segregation of waste, more segregation of waste he ensures, more incentive he gets. So we are planning to give 20% of the payments to the service provider linked to the segregated waste which he brings to the processing site. We plan to increase this percentage from 20 to 40% over a period of time. So we feel this is something like performance-based contract, a performance-based management contract. So the service provider is not only paid on the basis of inputs. Traditionally, we have been paying on the basis of inputs. What is the manpower which he is providing? What is the number of vehicles which he is providing? So we have moved away from that and said, okay, input is one thing. But what is the outcome of that? After deploying so many people and vehicles, what is the outcome? Have we achieved segregation? Have we received waste in the way it should be received? Have you ensured that you have followed the route plan? Have you ensured that there is no accumulation of waste in the public spaces? So all that has been provided in our new tender framework. We have also said that each ward, as I was mentioning in the processing side, each ward should have its own decentralized facility. Since collection and transportation is intricately linked to the processing of waste, if the service provider is able to get segregated waste, and if he is only running a facility which is dependent on that segregated waste, the coordination issues, the running issues would not crop up. It will be easy to run a decentralized processing facility in the manner in which it is envisaged. Most of the biomethanation plants which need segregated waste are very sensitive. If you put mixed waste, they can't take it. So it has to be very strategically linked to the collection and transportation system. So this is something which we have tried achieving in the new tenders. So all in all, in the new tenders, what we are proposing: segregation of waste at source, decentralized processing, incentive for segregation of waste, then processing at the zone level, processing at the city level, stream-wise handling of waste, investment in infrastructure. So I think these are the things which need to go hand in hand. And also at the institutional level, I dwelled on issues pertaining to finance, technical, everything. Institutional is very, very important. The solid waste management in the city needs to be organized in such a way, the staffing needs to be done in such a way that people are able to respond immediately to the issues which are raised. It requires regular monitoring, it requires constant upgradation, improvement of the processes. So we need to have team of environment engineers who are overseeing the entire solid waste management system. We should have team of senior officers above them, which is seized of the processes. They are aware that this is how the things have to be done. So local bodies need to strengthen their staff. They need to put environment engineers at the ground level. They need to have superintending engineers and executive engineers at the middle level. And then there should be a separate solid waste management cell or a solid waste management entity at the city level, which is fully aware of what is happening, which is able to respond fast, which should be empowered to take decisions fast on the issues pertaining to solid waste management. So I think if we are able to tackle all these things, the institutional part in terms of decision making, in terms of staffing, the financial part in making the resources available, in technical part in ensuring that these different options are ensured, in the behavioral part in terms of IEC, in terms of telling citizens, seeking their participation, involving them in all these processes. If we are able to do all this, I think we can ensure that solid waste management is done in a very, very professional manner. It is done in environmentally compliant manner. It is done in a way that the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, which is launched by Government of India, the Swachh Karnataka Abhiyan, which is launched by our Honorable Chief Minister, we are able to achieve the objectives which are there in that mission. Thank you.